Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today is Friday, February 13th, 2026. And that date feels oddly appropriate.
It does, doesn't it?
Because if you look at the 2026 State of Security Report we're digging into, it feels like the universe has a pretty dark sense of humor. But we're not here for superstition. We're here because there's been a fundamental shift in how the world works.
You're right. The spookiness in these documents isn't supernatural at all. It's structural. We are looking at a complete rewiring of how risk operates.
Exactly. I've been going through this, and the one word that just keeps jumping out at me isn't threat or risk. It's fragmentation. And I want to be careful with that word. Usually fragmentation means things are breaking apart, becoming isolated. But this report seems to be arguing the exact opposite.
It's the central paradox of 2026, really. The geopolitical order is fragmenting, sure. Alliances are fraying. But the threat landscape itself is converging.
Converging how?
Well, you have state militaries using criminal tactics. You have criminal gangs that operate with the discipline of a corporation. And private tech platforms, the very things running our lives, are now the battlefield. The lines aren't just blurred anymore. They're gone.
So that's our roadmap for today. We need to unpack this geopolitical fracture, especially the U.S. pivot to this hemispheric control.
And pre-positioning. We absolutely have to talk about that.
Oh, yes, that term. That term gave me chills once I really understood it. Then we'll get into the gig economy of ransomware and finally have a serious, non-hysterical conversation about AI and the total collapse of identity.
It's a heavy agenda. But for anyone in a leadership role, or really anyone trying to navigate the world this year, this is the new baseline. You can't operate on 2024 assumptions. It just doesn't work.
Okay, so let's start at the top, the geopolitical map. The report makes a bold claim. 2025 wasn't just a year of high tension. It was the year transactional diplomacy just became standard.
Right. The era of strategic patience is basically over. The data shows that major powers, and specifically the U.S., are no longer waiting for a threat to fully materialize before they act.
They're shooting first.
They're shooting first, kinetically or digitally, to secure their immediate interests. And that shift in U.S. policy is probably the most jarring part of this.
The hemispheric control doctrine. I think people saw the headlines, but when you lay them out in a timeline, it paints a very specific, very aggressive picture.
It does. I mean, think about the VP's trip to Greenland in March 2025.
Right, that wasn't just a photo op.
Not at all. Vice President Vance went to a U.S. military base there to push a security agenda that, for all intents and purposes, treated the island like a U.S. asset, not a semi-autonomous part of Denmark. The trip was cut short, the Danish officials were furious, but the message was sent.
The U.S. is willing to lean on NATO allies to secure its northern flank.
Hard, and then you look south and the strategy is even more direct. Operation Southern Spear.
January 2026. So just last month, this wasn't a proxy conflict. This was a full-on U.S. operation to capture Venezuelan President Maduro.
On drug trafficking charges, yes.
Which, to be fair, that indictment had been sitting there for years. But to actually go in and get him, that's a massive escalation.
It's a move away from global policeman and toward regional enforcer. And the report makes it clear this has severely strained ties with the UK and Canada. They're looking at this precedent and getting very nervous.
Because as the U.S. is unilaterally removing heads of state to secure stability.
It completely redefines the alliance. It says Washington is putting regional dominance ahead of global cohesion.
And while the U.S. is locking down its fortress, the rest of the world is on fire. The 12-day war between Israel and Iran, Operation Rising Lion.
A preemptive strike back in June 2025. But for our discussion, the airstrikes aren't the main story. The story is the digital spillover.
This is that convergence you mentioned. The war didn't stay contained.
No, it rippled out instantly. We saw what are called signaling attacks. This is where a state or its proxies hits critical infrastructure in a totally unrelated country just to send a message.
Some kind of message.
Back off. We can reach you. It's a warning shot, but instead of firing a missile, you disrupt a logistics hub in Europe or a financial network in Asia.
So the line between being at war and at peace is just gone. You could be a company in Ohio, and suddenly your systems are getting hammered because of a conflict thousands of miles away.
Precisely. And that brings us to how this is even possible. You can't launch those kinds of attacks on a whim. You need prior access. This is where we have to talk about pre-positioning.
Okay, this is the part of the report that really changes how you see every headline about a data breach.
Okay.
We used to worry about espionage, spies stealing secrets.
Espionage is passive. It's, I want to know what you know. Prepositioning is active. It's, I want to control what you do.
So it's about compromising critical infrastructure, power grids, water systems, ports, not to steal anything, but just to sit there.
It's about establishing a persistent, quiet presence.
Like planting digital explosives you can detonate later.
That is the exact analogy the intelligence community uses. And the tactics are evolving so fast. China, for instance, has shifted its focus to what the report calls edge infrastructure.
Their edge. Why not go for the main servers, the heart of the network?
Because the heart is being watched, you have advanced security on the servers, but the edge, the routers, the VPN gateways, the firewalls themselves, those are often unmonitored black boxes. So Chinese actors are getting inside these devices and just sitting there on the network boundary. The main goal isn't even to steal data. It's to maintain a foothold that security teams can't see because it's running on the very device meant to protect them.
And the Russians, the report calls their tactic living off the land. It sounds almost harmless.
It's anything but. It's sophisticated camouflage. In the past, Russian actors would use custom malware, which you can scan for. Living off the land means they only use tools that are already on the system. Legitimate admin tools. PowerShell scripts.
So to a security analyst, it just looks like a system administrator doing their job.
Exactly. Or they exploit webmail platforms like Roundcube and Zimbra. They aren't breaking down the door, they're using stolen keys to walk right in. It gives them plausible deniability. If a system goes down, was it a state attack or just an admin error?
But the real implication here isn't just about detection. It's about time, isn't it?
It's the compression of warning time. This is the absolute nightmare scenario for defense planners. If an adversary has to hack their way in, you might see them coming weeks in advance. You get a warning.
But if they're already inside?
If they're pre-positioned, they can go from 0 to critical disruption in minutes. There's no ramp up. The switch is already wired. They just have to flip it.
So the states are acting like saboteurs. Meanwhile, in the criminal world, it's like they're going through a massive corporate restructuring.
It's a direct result of law enforcement successes in 2025. Operation Endgame was huge. It took down massive botnets, but it had an unintended consequence. It didn't stop the crime. It just pulverized it.
It shattered the big cartels into a gig economy.
Exactly.
Which sounds like it should be a good thing, right? Smaller groups, less capability.
You would think so, but it's actually created a more chaotic, more volatile market. The barriers to entry have collapsed. We saw a 33% increase in new ransomware variants last year. Over 280 new types. But, and this is the fascinating part, total ransom payments actually went down.
Wait, hold on. More attacks, more variants, but less money. How does that make any sense?
Trust, or a lack of it. In the old days of a group like Conti, if you paid, you'd probably get your data back. They had a sort of business reputation.
Right.
In this new gig economy, you're dealing with freelancers, affiliates, kids on Telegram. There's no guarantee they even have the decryption key. So victims are just refusing to pay.
And that desperation makes the criminals more innovative.
Desperate and aggressive. Look at the group that calls itself Scattered LebP SO Hunters, or SLSH.
The name itself sounds like a chaotic merger.
It is. It's a self-proclaimed mix of Scattered Spider, LAPES, and Shiny Hunters. And they don't operate like a mafia. They operate like internet trolls with weapons-grade tools. They're on Telegram, mocking researchers, causing chaos just for the notoriety.
But they're also innovating on the business side of things. I honestly laughed when I read about the Quellen ransomware group.
The call a lawyer feature.
Yes, offering legal advice.
It's dark, but it's brilliant. They've built a tool where they essentially say, fine, don't pay us, but first, here's a calculator. We'll show you what your GDPR fine will be, what the class action lawsuits will cost, and how much your stock will drop. They're professionalizing extortion.
You're making a business case for paying the criminal instead of the regulator. That's terrifying.
And the tools themselves are getting sharper. We're seeing widespread sharing of so-called AV killers.
I wanted to ask about that. How do you just kill antivirus software? Isn't it designed to prevent exactly that?
It's a constant arms race. These tools often use a technique called bring your own vulnerable driver. They install a legitimate, signed piece of software from a reputable company that just happens to have a known flaw.
Okay.
They exploit that flaw to get deep into the operating system, and from there, they just turn off the security sensors. They blind the guards before they rob the bank.
And a lot of this fraud infrastructure is coming out of specific hubs, like in Southeast Asia.
Yes, industrialized fraud. It's not just hackers in basements, it's organized compounds. The report gives an update on the Huey group. Even after U.S. sanctions and a ban from Telegram, they didn't go away. They just pivoted. They launched new money laundering services like To-Do.
It's like squeezing a balloon. One marketplace pops, another one appears.
And they're bridging the digital and physical worlds with things like ghost tapping. They use stolen credit card details, load them onto phones, and then pay people to walk into retail stores and buy up luxury goods. It's high-tech fraud meeting old-school fencing.
Okay, we have to talk about AI.
Yeah.
But I want to do it right. I feel like the public conversation is always, Skynet is coming. This report uses a framework, AIM3, to kind of debunk that, doesn't it?
It does. The AI malware maturity model. It's a reality check. The hype makes you think we have fully autonomous AI agents hacking the Pentagon. The reality is that most AI threats are still level 1 or 2. They're experimental. They're co-pilots, helping human hackers write better phishing emails. They are not yet autonomous superweapons.
So no Skynet. But the report says we're facing a different kind of crisis. It's not about AI hacking code. It's about AI hacking trust.
That's the real danger right now. It's not the AI breaking the firewall. It's the AI breaking the verification process. We are seeing an explosion in synthetic identity fraud.
How big an explosion?
Up 300% in the first quarter of 2026 alone.
300% in 3 months.
It's off the charts. And deepfake fraud is up 10 times since 2024. The most tangible example is the North Korean IT worker scheme.
I've heard about this. Walk me through how it actually works.
It's a state-run revenue program. North Korean operatives use generative AI to create synthetic faces, modify their voices in real time. They apply for remote software jobs at Western companies, tech firms, crypto exchanges, even defense contractors.
Yeah, and they interview over video call.
And they look and sound exactly like the person on the resume they submitted. They get hired. The company has absolutely no idea.
So you have a state-sponsored agent who was just hired through the front door.
An insider threat from day one. And the salary gets funneled back to Pyongyang to fund their weapons programs.
And the tools for this are getting easier to find. The report mentions names like Nithion and Xantharox.
These are malicious AI models marketed on the dark web. Often they're just open source models that have been jailbroken to remove safety guardrails, but they are specifically tuned to generate phishing scripts or deepfake images.
So the takeaway for a business leader isn't, I need to buy an AI firewall. It's, how do I know the person on this Zoom call is even real?
Or the person on that call asking for a wire transfer. If you can no longer trust your own eyes and ears, the entire foundation of remote work and digital commerce begins to crumble. Identity is the new perimeter, and that perimeter is failing.
Let's look ahead then. We have most of 2026 still to go. The report's outlook focuses on connectivity as a target. What should we be bracing for?
We should expect what the report calls reversible disruptions.
That sounds like a very polite term.
It is. It means attackers, most likely state actors, will start targeting the physical layer of the internet undersea cables, satellite systems. But they won't cut the cable or destroy the satellite because that's a clear act of war.
So what will they do?
They'll jam GPS signals. They'll disrupt PNT positioning, navigation, and timing.
And PNT is the invisible utility for everything, right? It's not just maps on your phone.
It's the timestamp on every stock trade. It's what synchronizes the power grid. If you mess with the timing, things crash. We should expect to see short, targeted outages designed to send a message, to coerce, not to destroy.
And as we put more connected hardware out there, robots, lunar missions, those just become more targets.
Contested cyber-physical terrain. That's the term. When you deploy humanoid robots in a factory, you've created a target. Hacking that robot isn't just a data breach, it's a physical safety issue.
And finally, quantum. Is this the year it becomes real?
It's the year of the checkbook. Quantum computers aren't breaking encryption today, no. But the timeline is now short enough that companies are moving from planning to spending. 2026 is the year of the great cryptographic migration.
So let's wrap this up. We've painted a pretty bleak picture of a world that's fragmented, aggressive, deeply uncertain. Stability feels like a thing of the past. What's the big mindset shift that leaders need to make?
It's a shift away from focusing on stability and toward focusing on resilience.
Unpack that distinction for us. What's the difference?
Stability is binary. You're either secure or you're breached. It's about building a wall so high that nothing can ever get over it. In this fragmented world, that's impossible. The adversary might already be inside. The new hire might be a deepfake.
So you can't prevent everything.
You can't. Resilience is the acknowledgement that you will get hit. You will have a security incident. The metric of success is no longer, did we prevent it? The metric is, how fast did we recover?
It's about being able to take a punch and stay standing.
Exactly. The organizations that will thrive in 2026 won't be the impenetrable ones. They will be the ones that can continue to operate through the chaos.
Well, that is a sobering, but I think very necessary place to end. Resilience over perfection.
It's the only strategy that works now.
Thank you for walking us through all this. It's a dense report, but I feel like I finally have a grip on the stakes.
My pleasure. It's critical stuff to understand.
And to you listening, thank you for your time. Keep your eyes open, verify everything, and start thinking not just about how you dodge a punch, but how you take one. We'll see you on the next deep dive.